Hi guys, John here again with another video. Today's topic is Trainee Medium. And this is basically about, if you haven't already guessed, about me. Anyway, it's to do with an incident that happened on Friday night. But before I tell you about that, I'm going to sort of bring you up to date with a few things that's happened to me not up to date, just going to share some experiences that's happened to me over the last few years. A very good friend of mine passed away in, I think, about 2008, 2009. He killed himself. And for years I was really angry about it. I just couldn't find no peace in myself about it. I just thought, what happened? Why did he do it? And what have you. And pure coincidence, one day, me and my partner went into a triathlon shop in Haverfordwest, which is closed, I believe, now. And we were talking, and I just happened to mention about my old friend who'd killed himself, that he used to be a keen triathlon, he used to be well into that. And she said, "Oh," she said, "do you mean," she said his name, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know him?" She said, "Yeah, I'm best mates with his wife." I said, "Oh my God, really?" And then she told me then that he suffered really severely with depression, and I didn't know. None of us knew. And this ultimately led him to do what he did. So anyway, moving forward, so it was last year, I was actually in my car driving when he communicated with me. He basically showed me this, like, only way I could describe into words. He just showed me an item, and at first I couldn't understand what he showed me. And then when I stopped the car and I thought about it a bit more, he basically showed me like a well, and what he called it, well of despair. And he said during his depression he fell into this well of despair, like emotionally, mentally, what have you, which then ultimately led to him doing what he did. And then I was shown afterwards, the people that fall into this well of despair, there's always a silver chain to get out from it, but most people are too involved with the despair to see it, but it's there. I was told this after. So anyway, moving on to this year, another friend of mine passed away suddenly. And like, when I actually read it on Facebook that he passed away, and I was like in shock for a couple of days because I was just stunned by it. But what had happened, as soon as I was open to the fact that he passed away, he actually messaged me, but I couldn't like really, I didn't like, I wasn't open to it for a couple of days after. It was literally the moment I found out that what happened, he passed away, that he sent a message to me. And basically what it was that it was sudden. He passed away sudden, and he was like scared for like a split second, and then he got guided, away. So he felt he was fine, and he basically showed me in the UK. I'm not sure if it's the same with countries abroad, but in the UK, if you have someone who has a wheelchair, and people create a wheelchair path for them, like shops and stuff create a path for them. It usually is like a zigzag, goes around in a circle and then comes back on itself and into the shop. He showed me that he was on a healing path which was shaped like that, and that he was fine, and he just told me that. So a few weeks later, I interviewed someone on here called Shannon, and who was a very strong, powerful medium, and again it sort of awakened something in me. Because the next day I went to a castle and I saw a ghost. At the time it was like, oh, okay, and I walked away fine. And like a few seconds later it was like a tiny bit of shock. What the hell did I just see? And 10 minutes or so after, I walked through town and I saw my friend, just for a few seconds, but I saw my friend that had passed away. Looking a picture of health, probably about 20 years younger when he passed, and I saw him, and then he was gone. And a few other things happened around that weekend, weird stuff, but nothing like to do with people that passed on or anything, so I won't go into that now. So anyway, getting back to Friday. I also, the Shannon said to me that she felt that I was a trainee medium, but nothing had really happened since the incident after I interviewed her. Until a Friday night, there's a good friend of mine who lives away, who's very highly into his Reiki, into spiritual stuff, and every time he comes down, I meet up with him. And I went to see him, and he's going through some personal stuff at the moment. And as we were talking, I just felt this big push, like someone was pushing me to speak, and it wasn't me, my words. That's the only way I can describe it. And the people that were in the room, he said I went bright red because I was like fighting it. I didn't know what it was, what was happening. Eventually I said what I was pushed to say, and I said to him, sorry, I said that's not me who said them words, and he knew it wasn't me. But he really appreciated the words of the guy. It was guidance that came from me, which came from the other side. So even though I haven't had a chance to speak to anyone who is a medium since that happened, I do believe it's the first time I properly got pushed to bring a message from the other side to someone like that. I've had little things in the past, like my partner was going through something once, and with work, people not appreciating and stuff, and a voice came into my head to say to her, know your worth. And I did tell her that, and a few times stuff like that has happened, but it's just like a voice and a few words, and that was it. It's never been like a push, almost like a physical push. I'd never felt anything like it in my life before. And it was quite amazing, and it was like, wow, I felt so good after. It was just like, wow. So I think that was me as a trainee medium going through maybe the next step. And on one more thing before I go to a spiritualist church, and pure coincidence, last week there was a guy speaking to different people, and he looked my direction. Before he said anything to me, I heard that song, This Is My Moment, popped in my head, which I thought was quite funny. Next thing, he started speaking to me, and he a message aside, which I think was from my late great grand, but not 100%. And at the end of the message, he said to me, I've had a message, you should be up here, why aren't you up here? And I thought, because I don't want to be, I'm scared, I don't know. And that's the message I had, and then 2 days later, this happened to him and my friend. So that's it for this podcast. It was the original one that I started one a few days ago, but I just sort of dried up when I was doing it, so I thought, well, obviously this isn't meant to be, or this is for another day. So that's it now, guys, from me. So stay safe.